You're born in Edo period Japan, a time where samurais, ninjas, and shoguns are all the rage. You're not born into a noble clan, a proud merchant family, or even a humble farming village. You are born into a hereditary executioner clan. Your caste? Ida, which literally means filthy. You don't have a name yet. Your birth certificate might as well say, "Do not touch." Neighbors won't visit, priests won't bless you, and if you drop dead, people worry more about purifying the ground than mourning you. Because even among your caste, you're the lowest of the low. Welcome to life on society's bottom shelf. Some years pass, and you're 5 now. Your house is on the edge of town. Not edge like scenic, edge like quarantined. You grow up only knowing your mother and father, and your odd uncle that sometimes visits late at night. You know people don't like your family much. It becomes quite obvious when you see people cross streets just to get away from you and your mother at the market. You notice that even the criminals are afraid of you. Not because you're tough. After all, how tough can a 5-year-old be? You're 7 when you first understand why. Your father wakes you up early one day and tells your mother to prepare you for the day. He says you're going on a journey, so you follow. The journey leads you to an execution ground. You see a man tied to a wooden stake. He's calm. Too calm. Then you see your father show up next to him. He draws his blade, takes one silent breath, and slices the man's head clean off. You flinch. No one else does. This is just a normal Tuesday for them. Later that day, you ask your father if you can become a merchant, or a monk, or literally anything that doesn't involve dismembering people in front of a crowd. He doesn't laugh. He just says, "No one else will ever let you forget what we are." At age 12, your education starts. While other boys learn kanji and Confucian ethics, you are learning the basics on how to remove a human head in one stroke. First lesson, anatomy of animals in the human body. Second lesson, beheading. You start small, with birds, then pigs, and finally stray dogs. Then to unclaimed corpses. You hesitate. Your father doesn't shout. He just hands you the blade again and says, "Better them than you." You learn how to identify the 3rd and 4th cervical vertebrae, because that's where the head should come off. Clean, silent, dignified. He tells you that you don't aim to kill. You aim to honor the technique. You start memorizing death rituals like multiplication tables. Samurai get seppuku, which you perform by beheading them after they stab themselves in the abdomen with a short sword. After. He really focuses on that word. Peasants get a hanging. Traitors get crucified in public for added flair. He tells you that each crime has a designated end. Each end has a proper pose. You learn to clean blood from wood without staining it. You learn how to tie a rope just tight enough for strangulation, but loose enough for spectacle. You learn that most people don't scream. They just look at you, like you're not real. At the end of your learning phase, your friends are imaginary, your clothes are secondhand from corpses, and your idea of a good day is one where the wind blows the smell away. You don't dream of being a hero. Well, except when the hero's power is invisibility. You're 15 when you commit your first murder. They don't call it that, of course. They call it ceremony, duty, or fulfilling the law. But it's a kill. A samurai has been sentenced to seppuku. You're the kaishakunen, the one that delivers the final cut, the clean one, the merciful one. He kneels in white robes, says a poem, and slits his belly. Then he looks at you. You freeze. He nods, not with fear, with trust. Your hands don't shake, not anymore. You raise the blade, swing down, and his head hits the mat like it was always meant to be there. The crowd bows, not to him, not to the gods, to you. That night, you wash the blade 3 times. It still smells like blood. You don't eat, you don't sleep, Your father pats your head before leaving incense at the shrine. You sit beside it, staring, because no one told you that mercy and murder could look exactly the same. No one tells you that the first time someone dies by your hand, they stay there, behind your eyes, forever. You're 20 when the title becomes yours. The shogunate seals it with ink and indifference. Your name as the official executioner and sword tester of Edo. But it doesn't feel like a promotion. It feels like inheritance wrapped in iron and blood. Your father watches silently as you kneel, the decree still drying. He says nothing. He doesn't have to. You both know what this means. No turning back. Your days shift. You no longer clean after executions. You perform them. Every blade stroke is a test of your sword, of your nerve, of your ability to pretend this is normal. You memorize vertebrae like scripture. 3rd to 4th cervical. That's the sweet spot. One clean cut. No sound, no twitch. The body slumps. The head drops forward. Never rolls. That's your signature. One day you're summoned for work. So the crowd gathers at Kozukapara, silent, waiting, watching. Some cover their children's eyes. Others lean in. You ignore them all. Except her, your fiancée. Daughter of a gravedigger, betrothed since birth. A perfect match, they say. She stands at the edge of the crowd, wrapped in quiet. Smiles at you. You smile back. But don't move. You never do. You're afraid to touch her with blood-soaked hands, afraid she'll see what you've become. So you lift the blade, let it fall, and when the crowd gasps, you look only at her, hoping she still sees the man, not the executioner. The shogun sends you swords. Everyone wants proof their steel can sever 5 bodies in one swing. You oblige and carve the number of corpses directly into the blade's tang. You become a ghost in silk robes, feared, respected, never touched. You're paid in gold. You wear silk. You live in a nice house, slightly uphill from the execution grounds, close enough to smell the smoke, far enough to not hear the screams. After all, you're a father now. You've welcomed your first child, a boy. You pray he can grow to be free of this life, but no amount of prayers washes the blood from your name, a name your son has also inherited. You're in your 30s now, and you're a legend. Officials bow when they hand you scrolls. Criminals flinch when they hear your name. Samurai nod with grim respect. But when you walk through the market, the stalls go quiet. The butcher refuses to meet your eyes. The rice seller sets your change down on a wooden tray, like touching your hand might summon demons. People whisper your name like a curse. The Blade of Edo. You've executed samurai, rebels, traitors, and poets. Each one leaves behind something heavier than blood. You try to forget their faces. You try harder to forget their final words, because some of them say thank you. And that's the part that keeps you awake at night. Your job as executioner isn't only about the dead. There's also the side business, the pills. You didn't invent them, it's just part of the job. But you refine the process. Organs from the executed, livers, brains, bile, dried, powdered, and pressured into cure-alls. You call them magic pills. Others just call them death pills. Supposed to treat everything from coughing blood to spiritual affliction. They sell faster than rice. You gift them to officials. You stock them in temples. You slip them into the hands of sick children, then watch their mothers recoil once they realize where they came from. But gold keeps flowing. The swords keep coming. You test them on the condemned, on the cold, on the dying. You swing with the force of tradition and the precision of fear. And always, always, you engrave the results into steel. 5 bodies, left shoulder to right hip. 3 corpses, full cut, seppuku assistant, clean finish. You've become something worse than hated. You've become necessary. And in Edo, that's the loneliest thing of all. You don't have friends. You have clients, subordinates, and apprentices who bow a little too low. Even your wife, who once smiled at you, has learned not to ask what you did that day. She knows what the blood on your sleeve means, so she pretends it's ink. You both do. You've stopped flinching at screams. You've stopped blinking at entrails. But sometimes, just before you sleep, you still see their faces. The ones who didn't struggle. The ones who whispered a prayer as your blade came down. You remember the weight of their heads. Literally. Your dreams are filled with ghosts who never speak, just stare. 1,000 silent witnesses lining your sleep. And some of them look like you. You've become the shogunate's favorite tool. Precise, silent, irreplaceable. You're the final stop for criminals, rebels, heretics, and men too proud to hang. The execution grounds are your temple now. You walk them barefoot. You can feel the old blood soaked into the dirt. And sometimes, just before a cut, you whisper a poem. Not for them. For you. You've taken to writing death verses like the samurai do. Not because anyone demands it, but because it's the last piece of soul you have left to polish. Even your katana has changed. Notched slightly near the middle, blackened at the hilt. It groans when drawn, like it remembers your sins too. One day you catch your reflection in the blade. You look tired, older than your years. Not a warrior, not a man, just a shadow in silk. And then it hits you. You're not wielding the blade anymore. It's wielding you, just like it did your father before you. Your son turns 12 the day you take him to the yard. Not for cake, for his first cut. You hand him a short blade and point to a bundle of straw soaked in red dye. He hesitates. You don't blame him. You did too. But that was a lifetime ago, when your hand still shook. Now it's his turn. Why do I have to learn this? He asks. You lie, so you'll be safe. What you mean is, so they won't burn our name from the records, so the shogunate keeps feeding us, so the villagers don't spit at our door more than usual. You teach him posture, grip, breath. You don't teach him how to live with ghosts. That comes later. Now it's animals. Your son picks up his sword. You swore you'd end it with you. You swore that no child of yours would carry blood in their hands, ghosts on their back, or a title that turns people into shadows. But now your son grips the same hilt you once did. And he shakes, just like you did. You didn't mean to train him. It started with stories, then sword forms, then just-in-case drills. Now he knows how to aim between the 3rd and 4th cervical vertebrae. He hates it. You see it in the way he won't meet your eyes after practice. How he flinches when pigs squeal. How he cries when no one's looking. You remember that cry. But he also sees the world. The merchants who still won't sell to him. The girls who stop talking when he enters a room. The shrine gates that remain shut. The ghosts that don't care what century it is. So you wait until your son's asleep to break down. That night, you dream of breaking the chain, running away to a fishing village, starting over under a new name. But then you wake to the knock of a magistrate's assistant. Another execution, another body, another coin. You look at your sleeping son. You could say no. You could walk away. Instead, you lace your robe, tuck in your blade, and whisper the same thing your father once said. Forgive me. Because in Edo, Japan, the only thing harder than holding the sword is handing it to your child. You're in your 40s when the world flips. The emperor restores himself. The samurai lose their swords. The shogunate collapses like a paper fan in a fire. And with it, your job, your income, your purpose. Sword testing? Banned. Corpse trade? Banned. Miracle pills made from livers and gallbladders? Banned. Decapitation? Too savage. Now it's all hangings and paperwork. You go to the Meiji offices. Robe pressed, sword polished, hope trembling in your hand. They smile, bow, thank you for your service, then shut the door behind you. You should be sad, pissed even, but you just can't help letting out a smile. Maybe your son can finally have a normal life. But Japan doesn't think so. The Meiji era says time have changed, but your family still gets treated the same way. Years pass and your son still can't find employment around you, so you send him away, believing a new beginning will help. And that's where we'll leave you, old and dying, haunted by the ghosts of your past. Centuries pass, the sword is sheathed, the executions stop, the empire modernizes, the world forgets your name, but your blood remembers. Your great-great-grandchildren wear suits now. They work in offices, ride bullet trains, post selfies. On the surface, they're just like everyone else. But the registry still exists. The Koseki, that beautiful little book that quietly lists your family's former caste. All it takes is one background check, one curious HR manager, one old money family with a private investigator. One glance at a marriage application, and names like Yamada still curdles the air. You don't call them Ida anymore. They say Buraku. They say special background. They say nothing at all. But the job offer vanishes. The engagement falls apart. The apartment lease is denied. In school, classmates tease them with old myths, that their ancestors made skin pills, bathed in blood, spoke to ghosts. They laugh along, pretend it doesn't sting, go home and scrub history off their skin. They can't, because although your blade is gone and your role was dissolved, the stain remains. Although your hand swung the blade, they are the ones still bleeding. Well, at least they don't have to test blades anymore.